All right, so welcome to the Create Your Kingdom Superhero Lifestyle Workshop. This is going to be an all-day workshop today, and my goal is to help you develop some kind of a plan on how you want to structure your life in 2023 so that we are walking out our superhero persona. We are living our life by kingdom principles and living it in the kingdom, 100% in the kingdom. No more living halfway in the world and halfway in the kingdom like we talked about before, but then also living out your purpose and seeing how you can be about your Father's business and how we can fit that into your life plan for 2023. So I hope you're super excited about that. I have the chat open. If you guys want to make comments as I'm talking, that would be great to keep the conversation going. And if there's any questions, I can answer them. And then if there's any time at the end of each hour, we can do questions then too. So everyone on here knows me, but just in case I decide to sell this workshop at a later date and the recordings, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I am Deanna Murphy, aka Sophia Diamond. I am the owner and founder of This Tiara Life, which is all about living your life as a daughter of the King. And I am the creator of the Kingdom Superhero Program. Now, like I said, we're going to be creating your lifestyle plan for 2023. I just have my phone open here just in case anyone decides they want to message me if they can't find the link or they're having problems getting on. Okay. So as we move through the day, I want you to keep a couple things in mind. So if you've participated in the past challenges, a couple of these topics are going to sound familiar, but we're going to go a little bit deeper today as we have more time and space to do that. And I want you to keep an open mind as to allowing God to do whatever he wants to do in this workshop, whether it's through me and he decides to change up the schedule, or he speaks something to you, whatever he wants to do. Let's just keep it open. All right. And then make sure you show up to the sessions on time and you're engaged. Remove all distractions and then follow along with your workbook. Hopefully you guys all found your workbook in your email and you were able to either bring it up on your computer and you can follow along and journal, or you can do it in the workbook. And as much as possible, I've tried to, within the structure of this, say, okay, this is on page blah de blah, go ahead and write this there, right? So hopefully I'll be following along on the notebook or on the workbook with you as well. So before we get started, if you haven't already, go to page 3 of your workbook, and we're going to set our intentions for the day. So Proverbs 16:3 says, before you do anything, put your trust totally in God and not yourself, then every plan you make will succeed. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And that's why I'm really big on setting our intentions, whether we're in the challenge, we're in the boot camp, we're in a workshop. So what do you want to get out of this workshop? What do you need God to reveal to you? What do you need help with in terms of setting up your kingdom superhero lifestyle for 2023? And what needs to happen today for you to consider that this workshop was a success for you and time well spent? So go ahead and take a couple minutes to fill out your intentions. During this workshop, we're going to learn about every area you need to create your kingdom superhero lifestyle. We will not be focusing on false identities, lies, renewing your mind, or inner healing today. And if you'd like to review those topics, you can go back and rewatch the 3-day challenge at kingdomsuperhero.com 3-day challenge. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy this and put it right in the chat for you. and you can save that for a later date. But that's where it is permanently living now. I've put the recordings up there on, well, you go to my website page, and you're going to see the challenge, and you're going to see day 1, watch the video, day 2, watch the video, day 3, watch the video. And then I've also attached all the worksheets. So you guys can feel free to pass that along to anyone you think might be interested in Kingdom Superhero. And it's a good starting point. I know a couple people have asked me about being an affiliate and selling the all access NFT key, which is perfectly fine. But I think that if someone doesn't know me or what we're doing, that's going to kind of seem out of the blue. So maybe point them to the challenge first and let them get in there and see what we're doing, what's it all about. And then you could do it from there. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So hopefully you've set your intentions now. So what exactly is this workshop going to cover? So it's going to cover about, let's see. Let me scroll down here. It's going to cover about 9 things. So we're going to move fast, but I want to also move, I want to be very to the point. And I don't know, like I said, I guesstimated how much time each hour will take. So maybe we'll get done early some hours, maybe some hours will go over. But one, we're going to talk about your superhero identity. And we have talked a little bit about that in our challenges. So what is your superhero identity? Does God want to reveal more to you? How can you embrace and live her as her even more than you are now? And what does your superhero avatar look like? We're going to be doing a fun hands-on project around this. And this is different from the challenge. We're going to talk about your superhero power and your purpose. So this is our secret weapon. And how can you tap into this power more? And what is your purpose, and how can you dive deeper into that? What are your skills and talents, and how can you use all of these in 2023 to help and impact others? And then there's your superhero body. We are learning a little bit about that in the boot camp. What is your version of a superhero body? Not what the world's version is, but what is your version? And then what changes do you need to make in 2023 to get you your superhero body? And how can you be the best version of yourself? Then we're going to talk about your superhero weapons. What weapons do you have at your disposal in the kingdom? What weapons are you familiar with? What weapons do you need to learn how to use in 2023? And which weapons will you focus on in 2023? And then your superhero base. What is your superhero base? What is the purpose of it? Where is it? When do you need to go there? And how can you remind yourself to go there more often? And then we're going to talk about your superhero mission and journey. We talked a little bit about this in the challenge. What do you feel is your personal mission for 2023? And how can you plan for and accomplish it? What extra training do you need? What extra support do you need? What is your superhero story? And then we're going to craft our superhero story. Some of you did this in the last challenge, but we're going to spend more time on this today and dive a little bit deeper. There is power in your story. There is power in your testimony, and there is favor on your voice. So we want to craft your superhero story, and you want to weave it into your plan for your lifestyle for 2023. And how can you get out there and talk more about your story and your transformations and your breakthroughs? And how can you help others get the same, right? All right. And then we're going to talk about your superhero kryptonite. What is your biggest spiritual weakness? What does the enemy personally use to take away your focus and your strength? And for everyone, it's different. So this is going to be from a personal perspective for you, what is going on, right? And then how can you protect yourself against the biggest attack on your life? And we all have something. And the superhero, we're going to talk about your superhero arch nemesis. So how well do you know your enemy? What are his plans against you? What strategies do you have in place to fight him? What strategies do you have in place to protect yourself? And then we're going to talk about your superhero team. We're going to do a vision board project at the end. What are your biggest weaknesses in terms of skills? What are your biggest strengths? What are you going to need the most help with in 2023? Who can you surround yourself with, and who can be strong when you are weak? So I hope all those topics get you really excited about today. And I've spent a lot of time developing this, so I hope that it is really, really useful for you, and I hope that it's really powerful for you. So today's schedule is going to go from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We may finish earlier. For those of you that just tuned in, Brooke and Irene, would you be offended or upset if we ended earlier today? Like I was telling them at the beginning, I went through each hour and kind of estimated how much time each topic would take me and kind of structured it that way. And I don't know, we'll see how it goes, but hopefully you won't be offended if we end up ending up or finishing earlier today. So every hour, I hope this is not too annoying for you. Every hour, we're going to take a 5-minute break. And then I think once in the morning and once this afternoon, there's one section we're going to take a 10-minute break, but most of them are 5-minute breaks. I hope I didn't say 5 hours, 5-minute break. And we need to do this, number one, just so we can just kind of get up and move around. But number two, I don't want to record this for like 6 or 7 hours straight and then my computer try to convert it because it will take days upon days upon days. Okay, I just saw Irene. Okay, that's fine, Irene. So what we're going to do is every hour, when we go on the 5-minute break, we're going to all log out. I'm going to say, everyone leave the meeting. It's going to start converting this. And then we're going to go into, then we have to log back in and go into the next hour. Okay. And then that way I can start the recording again. And then I can, I'll have different 1-hour sessions recorded, which will convert a lot faster. Okay. I originally planned in your schedule, and you can see it, that there is a Kingdom Warrior NFT reveal call. I asked the team what time is the call so that I could make sure that I build the lunch schedule around that today, so that everyone that's in Kingdom Warriors and has NFTs can hop on that call, because we're having a big celebration and we're revealing our NFTs today. Well, I woke up this morning and I saw that they changed the time. So I've restructured it a little bit. So our lunch break is now going to be between 12 and 1 because the call was moved to 2 o'clock Central Time. So in your schedule, you might want to just make a note of that lunch is now from 12 to 1 instead of from 11 to 12. Okay. I hope that doesn't mess you up too much. If you need to miss any sessions, like Irene's already said that she needs to miss the 9 o'clock one, that's fine. All of these will be recorded. I'm going to upload them into YouTube, and then I will send you all. It'll all be set to, I think it's set to I don't know. It's set to where no one can see it and no one can find it. So I will send you the link to all the recordings once all those are uploaded. Okay, so if you miss any, that's fine. You can go back and rewatch it. And then also I'm doing another one on December 10th. So all of you are more than welcome to join again on this call. And you can just join the hours that you missed if you want, or you can attend the whole thing again if you want. Okay. In the workbook and in the email, I think a couple of people have problems finding the email today. Because I've gotten several messages about they couldn't find the Zoom link and they couldn't find the email, and it looks like they had already opened the email. And I know sometimes like our emails get buried. So one of the little things I do is if I know that an email is important and I have to come back to it, I star it or mark it as a favorite, or whatever your mail message is will allow you to do. And then that way, when I want to go find it, I can just go to my starred ones and go and I can find it, and it's a lot faster. But hopefully you found in there some instructions that we're going to be doing some hands-on projects today. And you can either do them old school with paper and magazines and glue and scissors and all that kind of stuff, or we can do it digitally. And if you're planning on doing it hands-on, with paper and all that, hopefully you saw the instructions to gather all those supplies and have those right next to you so that when we get ready to do those projects, you will have them on hand. If you're going to do it digitally, that's fine. We're going to go over the instructions for that, okay? And does anyone have any questions on the schedule? No? Okay. Oh, Liz, are you okay with me making you co-host in case I get cut off? I get knocked off of here. Okay. And if you could, because I believe it'll still record when I'm off of here, if you could just keep the conversation going about what we're talking about and not straying off to just talking about personal stuff in case, you know, I decide to sell this, then that's not all in there. Okay. Great. That would be awesome. Okay. So this hour we're going to talk about, thank you. This hour we're going to talk about welcome, introduction, instructions for the workshop, which I've gone over. We're going to talk about the 9 o'clock hour. We're going to talk about your superhero identity, superhero project, and you're going to create your superhero avatar. And then at 10 o'clock, we're going to talk about your superhero power and purpose and your superhero skills and talents. 11 o'clock, we're going to talk about your superhero body, your superhero weapons, and your superhero base. Then we're going to have lunch at 12, and whoever's in Kingdom Warriors can hop over to the NFT reveal call. I don't know if you caught that this is going to be on Twitter Spaces, and you'll have to have Twitter downloaded to get on it. So if you haven't already done that, you might want to do that on one of our breaks. And then at 1 o'clock, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about your superhero mission and journey. And then at 2 o'clock, we're going to talk about your superhero kryptonite and your superhero arch nemesis. And then the last hour, we're going to talk about vision board. We're going to work on our vision boards, and we're going to talk about your superhero team. All right. So let me real quick just talk about my superhero journey. Some of you have heard it before in the challenges, but I'm just going to go over it really quickly here for anyone that hasn't heard about it. I'm just going to give you, there's a trigger warning in here, and you need to make sure that you always are protecting your mental health. And I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a doctor. So it's your responsibility to protect your mental health. There are trigger warnings in my story, okay? So if you don't want to hear my story, or you don't want to hear those, if you're worried about those, then just go ahead and turn your volume down. And when I'm done, I will give you a thumbs up and you can turn your volume back on, okay? All right, so I came from a long history of toxic relationships. And when I was born, my dad was in the Navy, so we moved around all the time. And we moved every year right before Christmas. So I had 2 kindergartens, 2 first grades, 2 second grades, 2 third grades. And then when I was in 4th grade, they got divorced. He worked on a submarine, and he was often gone for 4 to 6 months out of the year. So I didn't have a really great relationship with him. And when they got divorced, it was like his whole side of the family divorced us. Like, I never heard from my grandmother or my grandfather or my aunt again. Like, it was like we didn't exist. So that left me feeling abandoned. It left me feeling like I wasn't good enough. It left me feeling like, you know, as a child, like there was something wrong with me, and I wasn't worth loving. I always felt like there was something wrong with me growing up. I remember on my mom's side of the family, my cousins, they just seemed so rich. My uncle was the editor of 3 different newspapers in Los Angeles, and, you know, they seemed to have everything. And here was my mom, divorced, with a 4th grader, 3rd grader, and a 2nd grader. And she was 28 years old. And we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and we were on welfare. And so I always felt like there was something wrong with us. And I remember one day crying to my mom and saying how I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel like we were worth anything. I felt like we were trash, you know? But she assured me we weren't, and all that kind of stuff, right? But I remember having those feelings when I was in 4th grade. And then fast forward to 6th grade. We had moved a couple more times. My mom had never worked really. So she got a job at the San Diego Union Tribune. She started as a data entry person and she worked her way up. She ended up working there, I think, for like 30 years. But it was after she had been working there for a while that she met a guy there that worked in the advertising department and at a work Christmas party or something. And they ended up dating. And they decided that they wanted to buy a house together. So we then went from living very, very scarcely, and in these really like rundown houses and just like what she could barely afford, right? And I remember having to share bedrooms all the time with my brother and sister. They bought a brand new 2-story, 5-bedroom, 3-bath house. And I thought that we had moved into a mansion. I got my own room for the very first time. Well, I can't say the very first time because I had my own room when we bought a new house when we lived in 4th grade. When I was in 4th grade, right before they got divorced, I had my own room, but we only lived there like 2 or 3 months before they separated. But we all had our own room. And I thought, wow, we have made it. We are, living large, right? And they ended up getting married. And then when I was 15, they had a baby. And I spent most of my high school years babysitting her after school and stuff. I was really involved in school. I got saved when I was 13. I was very involved in church. I went to church like 4 days a week. But then some ugly stuff really started to come out. And my stepfather was an alcoholic. He was a Vietnam vet. He had 3 Purple Hearts. The first person that he had to kill when he was in Vietnam was a woman, and he never, ever, ever got over that. And so there was just all kinds of drama and trauma throughout my high school years with his drinking. He would always go up to the local bar and drink, and he had got caught many times drinking and driving, had his license taken away numerous times. I remember one time we were sitting in the living room watching TV. And I don't think my mom was home, but we were in high school. So it was just all of us kids hanging out. And all of a sudden we hear this big, huge crash out front. My mom had to have been home. We hear this big, huge crash out front, and we jump up and we look out the window. And the way our yards were, because it was down a hill, like the yards stair-stepped down. He came home from the bar down the hill in his little Datsun truck, came across my neighbor's yard, flew off the side of his yard and hit our 12-passenger van and moved it about 3 feet into the yard, and his truck was on fire. And I've got my baby sister there, and I'm like freaking out. So I grabbed the phone. This was back in the days when our phone was the cord was 25 feet so that we could all take it to our rooms. And, when mom wanted to find the phone, she had to like follow the cord, right? So took the cord, ran to the backyard. We all run to the backyard, grabbed my sister, because I don't know if that thing's going to explode or whatever. Next door neighbor's a nurse. She comes running over. She finds the phone, grabs it from me. It was just a big fiasco. So lots of drama like that. Just so many stories. And I ended up, so I got saved when I was 13, but I also had my boyfriend when I was 13, and we dated all through high school and everything. And as soon as I graduated from high school, 6 months after high school, I got married. And looking back, I think it really was to just get out of my house. I think that's why I spent a lot of time at church and school activities, and got married early, was just to get out of my house and to get away from all that trauma. My brothers and my brother, my sister, and my baby sister all ended up being like alcoholics and drug addicts. I'm the only sibling that never got into any of that. And it's by the grace of God, by going to church. They went to church too, but they went to church and they were smoking pot in the parking lot with their friends and different things. But I was trying to be really engaged, and I think that's what saved me. So now I'm married. 1983, California housing market just crashes. My husband's working as a plumber with his father. His father owned a plumbing business in San Diego. and they just had no work for like 6 to 9 months. And so my husband comes to me. I was going to school to become a nurse, and I just finished all my prerequisites, and I was going to join the nursing program in the fall. And he comes to me and he says, hey, why don't we join the Air Force? We can join the Air Force. They'll pay for our school. You can get your nursing degree. You can go into the medical field, right? So we go talk to a recruiter, and the recruiter shows us his book, this list of jobs, which he supposedly wasn't supposed to do, right? He's like, I'm doing you a big favor. And so I pick medical technician, and he says, well, there's a 9-month delay to go into the Air Force for that job. And I said, I don't care. I will wait as long as I need to wait, because I don't want to go into a job and be stuck for 4 years in something that I absolutely hate, right? So my husband signs up as a target intelligence specialist. No one knows what that means. He doesn't even know what that means. And my family would joke around that he was going to be in a field holding a target, running around for the planes to bomb, right? Like that was a big joke in my family. So he goes in to the Air Force, and I'm delayed for 9 months. He goes into the Air Force and he finishes boot camp, and they come to him and they say, hey, we made a huge mistake. We totally overbooked this target intelligence specialist job. So you can either pick one of these jobs or you can get out. Well, he sees medical technician on there. He's a plumber. He sees medical technician on there, and because I'm going to be a medical technician, he's like, I'm going to do that. So he joins to become a medical technician, which was great for me because he went through basic training and all of his technical school before I even joined the Air Force. So I got to get all the ins and outs from him. So 9 months later, I joined the Air Force. I go through boot camp. I go through tech school, totally stressing if I'm going to be able to get stationed with him. He had already been stationed, got his duty station, and he was living in England before I even went to the Air Force. So we were separated for 10 months. And this was after we had only been married about a year. So there was 3 of us in tech school that were praying to get a joint spouse assignment. I was the only one that got it. So I get stationed in England with him. I go to England. It's right around Christmas time again. And I know we find some off-base housing. We're living in the community, which was great. We're getting to know our neighbors and stuff. And one day I'm cleaning and I run into a porn magazine, and I am devastated. I mean, looking back on it, I thought I must have been like really super naive. But I was devastated. And this continued a process for 27 years of me trying to help him with his porn addiction. And this porn addiction, I think, is the number one thing that destroyed our marriage. He did become an alcoholic. And, I have journals upon journals of me asking God, why do I feel like I'm not a good enough mother? Why do I feel like I'm not a good enough wife? Why do I not feel emotionally connected to him? Why, right? Like just constantly asking God these questions. And he always tried to go along with any kind of accountability measures I put in place. But then he came to me one year towards the end and said, hey, he was still in the Air Force this whole entire time. I got out in 1989 after 5 years when I got pregnant with my daughter, but he was still in the Air Force. And he came to me and he said, hey, there's an opportunity for me to go on this temporary duty assignment to Pohnpei, which is in Micronesia in the Pacific Ocean. And I would like to do it. And I was like, why? I mean, at that point in our marriage, we were doing really well. It's like the best it had ever been. And I was like, why? Why? And the assignment was 6 months. Why do you want to go leave your family for 6 months? Like, we are in the best place we've ever been. I don't understand. And he's like, I just really want to get the experience, right? Like, he could never give me a really good reason. So he goes to Pohnpei for 6 months. My kids are in high school. He comes back. And that's when everything fell apart. That's when, like, it was never the same after that. I found out that he had bypassed my accountability measures and that he was looking at porn again. And when I asked him about it, he denied it. I tried to look at his laptop. He had it locked, which he had never had it locked before. I asked him to unlock it. He refused, downright refused, saying, "This is my personal property." And I said, "I am your wife and I have a right to have access to it." And he was like, "Nope, not happening." And then one night I decided to do an experiment, and I went to kiss him, and it was like kissing a dead fish. Like, I was devastated, and I was like, I can't do this, right? So we ended up getting separated, long story short. And when I left him, because of all of this, number one, I had PTSD because we had been in counseling 2 other times throughout our 27-year marriage. And the counselor asked me, "How do you feel when you catch him watching porn? Do you feel like you just walked in on him with another woman in your bed?" And I said, "Exactly." And he said, "That is PTSD. And every time you catch him, your body is going through this involuntary reaction that you're having that's associated with PTSD." And so I went through that many, many, many times during my marriage. So I had PTSD. I felt unloved. I felt unwanted. I felt like if he really loved me, he wouldn't do it. It didn't matter what I did sexually. He still was watching the porn. Nothing ever changed based on what I tried to do. And so this left me very depressed. I hated my life. I didn't really care about my life. I started partying. I started doing really destructive things. I was getting into recreational drugs. I was drinking a lot more. I was sleeping around with guys, trying to prove that I was sexy and that I was wanted and that I was loved, but they were all one-night stands. So of course that just fed into more of me not being worthy enough for someone to stay with. And I ended up started cutting, and I ended up trying to commit suicide twice. And I don't know where along the journey it happened. I was going through porn addiction recovery for the spouse during that time, and I learned that none of it was my fault, that it didn't matter what I did. It had nothing to do with me, that it had everything to do with some kind of childhood trauma that he had that made him initially turn to porn. And until he got that childhood trauma healed, he was going to struggle with this for the rest of his life. And so I started feeling better in that aspect, but I had gone so far down the hole in my self-destructiveness that it was really hard for me to pull out of it. And I was also seeing a mentor. I was in a mentorship program through my church, and she was helping me. She had given me a book called Boundaries by, I can't remember his first name, something McLeod. And that really helped me. But somewhere along the way, because I already knew this in my head, but somewhere along the way, God told me that I'm a daughter of the King, that I am his daughter, his precious daughter. And he moved that knowledge from my head to my heart. And, that's a direct word of knowledge from God. And when he gives you that direct word of knowledge, it is so powerful. And it is so, it just completely changes your life. Like, there's a lot of times when, if I'm really struggling with something, I will ask God, I need a direct word from you, because I need a 180-degree perspective shift. And so that's what he did. He gave me a 180-degree perspective shift when I learned that I am a daughter of the King. And, he told me that I've always been loved. I've always been wanted. I am beautiful. I am more than worthy of love. That he loves me so much that there's nothing that could ever separate my love for him, or his love for me, and that he would never abandon me, and that I've always been wanted, and that I'm a special treasure. And so this is what started my journey of healing. It still took me many years to get over a lot of the stuff, the self-destructive stuff that I had done to myself, because I couldn't forgive myself, because I couldn't believe that I was the type of person that would ever do half the things that I did. I didn't think I'd ever be that kind of person, right? So it took me a long time to forgive myself for what I had done. But God took me on this journey. And so since then, I've been you know, really working on inner healing and self-development and all those kinds of things. And this is my journey on how I got to where I am today. All right. So thumbs up. You can turn the volume back up if you need to. So that's my story. So this is why I created the Kingdom Superhero Program, so that I can, number one, right, I'm the hero of my own story. And this is what I'm trying to help other women to be, is the hero of their own story, where they can be the best version of themselves. But now God has moved me into guide, where I am helping other women to do that. So that's what Kingdom Superhero is all about. All right. So real quick, because the next hour we are going to be working on our avatar, which is going to be something that's really I hope you think it's going to be super fun. I think it's going to be super fun. I'm going to show you real quick how to set up and use Canva if you've never used it before. So is there anyone in here who does not know how to use Canva or does not have an account? I mean, if you guys all have Canva, then we don't need to do it. Okay, so Liz doesn't have Canva yet or know how to use it. Brooke, are you good with Canva? Okay, Irene, are you good with Canva? Do you know how to use it? Okay. Vicky, do you know how to use it? No? Okay. All right. So real quick, let me just share my screen and we will go over this super quick.
Let's see. I don't.
So if you guys want to go on your computer to www.canva.com. All right. So hopefully, can you see my screen? See that I have Canva up? Everyone see it? Okay. So
Yeah.
I obviously already have an account. I have over 1,000 things I've created in here. But what you want to do is when you go to Canva, you want to go ahead and sign up. So if you haven't signed up yet, go ahead and sign up. Liz, are you on there? Okay. So just go ahead and sign up for Canva real quick. You can sign up for the free version. The only thing with the free version is that some of the graphics, you'll see it says pro, you'll see like a little, what's it called? A little crown on them, which I'll show you in a minute. And that just means that you have to pay for that graphic. For a long time I had free, and if I used a graphic that I wanted for one of my, graphics for my business or whatever, I would just pay for it per the graphic that I created, and it's like $1 usually. I don't know if the prices have went up, but I did that for a long time. But now I'm a member of the Pro. I upgraded to Pro, and it's like $13 a month. So, so if you're logged into Canva and you have your account set up, can you give me a thumbs up? Because I don't want to go forward until everyone's logged in. Okay, Irene, it's good. Vicky, are you saying you're good or you're not good? Okay. Rivka?
Okay. You'll just have to go on without me because I'm just in slow mode today.
Okay.
So.
All right. Rose,
Sorry.
are you in? Okay. So wait a minute or two for everyone else. All right. So Rose, Vicky, and Liz, when you get in there, can you give me a thumbs up?
Okay, why is it
I
297?
think you'll just have to go on without me. My internet's just too slow. It won't let me have
Okay.
Zoom and Canva up at the same time.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go on. Just watch what I'm doing. Make a few notes if you want to. And then, you know, you can go back and do this after the session. I think it's just going to be really fun for you as you move forward with 2023 to just have that visual of who you think your what you think your avatar would look like. Okay. So
I think that's it.
let me mute everyone. All right. So when you get into here, yours is going to look a little bit different because if you don't have it, if you've never done anything, but right here, it'll say create a design up here in the upper right-hand corner. And when you go to create a design, you can, there'll be all kinds of different things that you can do. And there's even more than this. This is suggested. So, if you can't find something that you want to do, let's see, you say you want to do an ebook or you want to do a calendar or whatever, you can go over here into the search bar and put that in as well. So I would suggest for your avatar that you would just do a basic Instagram post, which is just a square. That's what I do most of my stuff in. I do it in a square. And so then once you pick that, it's going to bring up a work area for you. Okay, and this is where it can get really super fun. You know, I picked the little logo girl for Kingdom Superhero because I felt like she kind of looked like me with the blonde hair. So I kind of picked her as the logo, but I don't necessarily think she's my avatar. But once you bring up the workstation here, you have all these different things that you can do. So there's templates for anything that you want. If you wanted to create a business card, or you wanted to create a newsletter, or you wanted to create a flyer, or you want to create an ebook or a calendar or whatever, like you can go into the templates here and you can find anything you want. So let's say I wanted to do an avatar. I don't know if there's anything in here for that. We'll see. Okay, so these are just kind of some of the things that came up for avatar. Now, you know, you might not want to use any of these. Sometimes I'll take one of these templates and I'll just tweak it to what I want to do. But if you want to start from scratch, you can go here to elements. And on elements, you're going to find almost everything that you could possibly find in here. There's lines and shapes, there's graphics, there's stickers, there's photos, there's videos, there's backgrounds, there's, you know, all kinds of stuff. And it's all graphics or photos. So let's say I want to find a female superhero. So we can go female superhero. So you do that and you can see all these pictures come up, right? And let's say I don't want a photo, I want a graphic. So I can select graphic here and it will take all the photos out, and now I have the graphics. And you may see some of this stuff in here that looks familiar that you've seen with my marketing stuff. Now see here with these crowns, they all say pro. So any of these, if you choose them and then you choose to download the picture, that's when you're going to have to pay for the picture. And like I said, it was like $1, right? But you can create your avatar and you don't necessarily have to, you know, download it. There's ways that you can just take a picture or copy the picture without having to pay for that. But if you don't like any of these, you can go and, you know, create something from scratch. Let's say you just want a, just a female to like start basing it off of, right? So you could pick a female, you know, and you don't even have to do the whole body. You can do part of a body. Just be careful. There's things like this in here. You know, there's all kinds of different things you can do in here, and just be super creative. And if you feel like your avatar is not even a person, but something else, you can create a different kind of picture in here. And then you can also do, you know, you can do lines and shapes. You know, you can do squares. You can do, you know, all kinds of different shapes if you want to put on the background. And then they also have, let's see, they have down here backgrounds. And so you could put a different background on here. You can, there's textured backgrounds, there's landscapes, there's abstracts, there's food, there's flowers, there's nature. I mean, there's just so many different things you can do on here. And I want to show you real quick with anything that you do as far as a graphic. Let's say I just picked this little starburst. You will see up here, if you can change the color, it will show the colors up here if you can change it. And if you want to change a color, you can just pick one of the colors and it'll give you some standard options of colors. Because I have the Pro, I have a brand kit up here for my other, for this Tiara Life. But if you don't like any of those colors, you can go here and you can pick it along the scale here, or if you know the hex code, you can put it in here. If you find colors that you really like and you think you might be using them over and over again, you're going to want to write down these hex codes so that you can easily find the color that you want and everything matches. So that's just kind of a really basic instruction for that. Does anyone have any questions on that and creating your avatar? Okay, so we're going to be working on that next hour, and I'm going to work on mine, and I think it's going to be really super fun. And then we can show it afterwards. If you are having problems and you can't get on it and it's your computer or whatever is slow, then I would suggest just drawing her out, what you think she would look like, and coloring it in if you can or whatever, and just kind of get a rough draft for it, just so that you can participate. And then, you know, we can share that with each other as well. Okay. So like I said,
So
you know,
Deanna, we're supposed to be,
go ahead, Rebecca.
so Deanna, we're supposed to be creating our Kingdom Superhero avatar.
Yes. That'll be next hour.
Okay.
All right. So let me stop sharing this. All right. Let me just make sure I don't have anything else for this hour. So also on there, you can pick your fonts. I can show you that when we log back in. So our next hour, we're going to be talking about your superhero identity, superhero project, and create your superhero avatar. We're not going to go work on the avatar until later in the session. So there'll be some things before that. So you want to make sure you log right back on at exactly 9 o'clock. So we did finish about 5 minutes early. So let's go ahead and all log off and log back on here probably like a minute before 9 o'clock if you can, so that we can get started right at 9. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a really quick 10-minute break, and then we will be diving straight into this workshop. Does anyone have any questions about anything I've covered so far? The schedule, instructions, anything like that? Or do you have any concerns that I can address right now? All right, then let's all log off, and I will see you in 10 minutes.